everyone. Good afternoon. And so what we're going to be doing here is something different than we usually do. And so we will be having a special guest today. And that special guest is actually my sister. She is my, yes, biological sister that will be joining us here today. And she'll be discussing natural remedies to help women diseases and women health issues. And she'll be getting a deep dive into a lot of women issues, and you can just feel free to go ahead and ask some questions. So what we want to do here at this time as well, we want to make sure that you share this to as many people as you can. Take the link right now that we've shared in our Eden Lifestyle community on WhatsApp, and you can take that link. And also, if you're on Zoom, you can copy the link and paste it and share it with as many people as you can, because this information that we about to share with you here is some powerful information that will help women in general in so many different women health issues. And my sister that is here, she is currently a midwife, and she has been working there in a clinic, finishing up her clinical studies so she can get her license to practice, to open up her own practice in the near future. So then she has a lot of experience working with women and women health issues. And even when it comes to pregnancy and prenatal care, postnatal care, and she delivered so many babies at this moment right now. And so she will be coming here and sharing her experiences and her expertise with us. And feel free to ask questions, as many as you can. And also, if you're on YouTube, thank you for joining. Please like the video. You can feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we thank those who have been joining our WhatsApp community. Right now, we have about 700 people a part of our WhatsApp community, and over 400 people subscribed on YouTube at this moment. And we just thank you so much for joining, and also keep sharing this here with many people as you can, because people need this information that we share on a weekly basis. So I pray that you are blessed with the information, and Raquel here will take over, and she'll be able to share with you some more as it pertains to women health.
Thank you, Renoir. Good evening to everyone. Hi, everyone. As Renoir said, my name is Raquel, and I am really excited to be here with you all this afternoon. Like he said, I am a student midwife, and I have been away from Eden Lifestyle, but never, disconnected. So it's my pleasure to be here.
And I think you have two things playing, Kelly. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Do you have another computer that is currently on?
No, it's not connected to audio. Okay, do you still hear me double? Okay, I'm assuming not. All right. So if you can hear me.
You can go ahead. I'll try to see if I can fix anything.
Okay, no problem. If you can hear me, just drop a thumbs up in the chat, raise your hand, do something just to signal that you can hear me clearly here this afternoon. Okay, awesome. So this afternoon, like Renoir said, we will be going over women's diseases, women's health, and what we can do to help with some of the common issues that we deal with as women. I know that you've been learning a lot throughout this Uncut series, and I hope that today is no different from what you've been learning. So as we get started into this evening's presentation, the format will be very similar. We will build a foundation on health and women's diseases. We will go into specifics relating to different diseases, what can be done to assist or to remedy those issues. And we will have a section at the end for question and answers. So feel free to write your questions in the chat, or if you have questions at the end, to save your questions for that question and answer segment. I do want to say that I do not have all of the fancy equipment that they have at Eden Lifestyle, so I will not be doing as hands-on demonstrations today. However, I will share with you hands-on remedies, and I will go walk you through exactly how to prepare that. So with that in mind, I want you to grab your notebook, your pen pad, your phone, whatever it is that you take notes on. I want you to grab that, your camera, so that you could take pictures of the screen, because I will be sharing with you as we go throughout, this evening's presentation. I will be sharing with you lots of remedies that you could take notes of. So I do want you to follow along and take notes as much as possible, so that we can, learn from these things to be able to apply to our lives, but to be able to share with others. And of course, as Benoit reminded you, please feel free to share this link with persons that may benefit from this evening session. So with that being said, let's have a word of prayer as we jump into radiant and resilient. Help with women's diseases. Let's have a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you so much for today and just for the opportunity to be here this afternoon. We pray that as we go throughout this afternoon's presentation, that you would be with each and every one of us. Be the one speaking through me, give me the insight that I need to share with your people. And I pray that as they listen and they hear, that you'd help them so that they would be able to take these things, apply to their lives, and be able to not only get better themselves, but to be able to help those around them. So again, be with us, go before us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. So, radiant and resilient. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 31:17, she's energetic and strong, a hard worker. And this is what we want for every single woman here on this chat this afternoon. So, in 3 John 2, the Bible tells us, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. So God's ideal for us above everything else is, just as much as we seek our spiritual salvation, is so that we could be in health. God wants us to take care of the bodies that he has so graciously given to us. And of course, as we go throughout this evening's presentation, we will be learning exactly how we can do that, especially as women. And for the gentlemen on the chat, I know that you have a mother, a sister, an aunt, a cousin, a friend, a wife, a daughter that you could take this information and share it with. So please stay with us. And again, invite your friends to join us this afternoon. Now, as it relates to God's ideal for us, we learn in the Ministry of Healing, which is a great book, by the way, if you haven't read it. It's one of my favorite books. It says that Jesus came to this world as an unweary servant of man's necessity. He took our infirmities and bare our sicknesses that he might minister to every need of humanity. The burden of disease and wretchedness and sin he came to remove. He came to, it was his mission to bring to us complete restoration. And what that looked like was health and peace and perfection of character. So God came to this world so that we could be whole, fully whole, physically, spiritually, and mentally. And it is our aim this afternoon that, I could help to assist you with that physical part so that we could be in better health wholly. So we're laying a foundation here, and I know that these are some of the things that you're familiar with, but just to remind us, what is disease? Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. That's what disease is. Disease is an effort of nature. So disease is nature's way of freeing the system from conditions that result as a violation of the laws of health. Now, I want you to keep that in mind, even as we move forward and talk about specific diseases. It is the body's way of getting rid of things within our system that resulted maybe because we didn't drink enough water, maybe because we didn't get enough sleep, maybe because we're super stressed out and we haven't found ways in coping with our stress levels. So diseases are our body's way of, like helping to expel those impurities from our system. Now, there's a great principle on how to deal with disease, and these are some of the things that we will be going through this afternoon. It says that in case of sickness, the cause should be ascertained. So we should find out what the reason is. When it comes to polycystic ovary syndrome, what is the reason for it? What is causing this disease? And then when we find out what's causing it, we change the unhealthful conditions and correct wrong habits. So maybe we find out that we have polycystic ovary syndrome because we're partaking of a high fat diet, for instance. So because we know that, in order to find the answer, what do we need to do? And I'm sure you're answering correctly behind your screen. We need to change that. So unhealthful conditions should be changed, wrong habits corrected, and then nature is to be assisted in her effort to expel impurity, and to reestablish right conditions in the system. So what may that look like? That may look like doing the natural remedies that you will learn here today, or the natural remedies that you've been learning, like let's say a castor oil pack, or drinking an herb, a tea, or whatever the case is, to help to free the system from those impurities and to reestablish right conditions in the system. So as we go forward this afternoon, I want you to keep those principles in mind. And as it relates to every disease that we will cover, I want you to be able to identify, well, what is it? What causes this? Then when we find out what causes it, then we could ascertain that in terms of, changing unhealthful conditions, correcting wrong habits, and then the natural remedies that we will learn, we could apply it so that we could expel impurities, help the body to expel impurities because the body's already doing that, and to reestablish right conditions in the system. Okay, so let's move forward. Now, as it relates specifically to women's diseases, many of the diseases that women suffer with are as a result of common denominators. So at the base of majority of our diseases as women are common denominators. And as we continue with this afternoon's presentation and go into specific diseases, we will realize that some of those common denominators are. And as we address these common denominators, guess what? We will not be only helping one thing, but that, will have a ripple effect, and we will be helping, several other things. So at the base of women's diseases, hormonal issues due to hormonal changes. And there are several things that can affect our hormones, including our environment, including our, mental state, whether or not we're stressed or being, coping with stress. There are other things that could impact our hormones, like the feminine hygiene products that we use, or the facial or skincare products that we use. There are other things that could affect our hormones, like the foods that we eat, when and how we eat them. All of these things have an impact on our hormones. And our hormones, as we will begin to see, are something that is very important. And they control, lots of functions within our system. So hormonal changes are at the base of many of the diseases that we suffer with as women. Lifestyle choices. Again, all of these things, they interconnect, they tie in. So the choices that we make affect our hormones. The choices that we make affect, our health and the symptoms that we experience, and so on and so forth. And there are also physiological factors that also affect us as women and at the base of the diseases that we go through. So speaking of physiological factors, I want to talk about the 6-letter word, Stress. Stress is something that we don't necessarily pay attention to as we should. Stress can disrupt the body's natural hormone balance. Physiological stress may aggravate natural falls in estrogen during the menstrual cycle. And because of that, it may impact different things within our cycles. So whether or not we experience different symptoms throughout different points in our cycles, whether or not we experience pain or don't experience pain. So all stress can disrupt our hormones in that way. So simply put, stress can have an impact on the hormonal changes that happen throughout our cycle. And when I say our cycle, I'm not just referring to a period. I'm referring to the cycle that every woman's body goes through, whether you're having a period or not, whether you're in menopause or you're experiencing actual, like a shedding of blood. Our bodies go through a menstrual cycle every single month. So stress can have an impact on those hormones within our cycle, and it could disrupt. Now, our bodies, not to bore you out, but I'm just trying to help to establish the importance of taking care of our hormones by choosing the right habits, and also taking care of our, like mental health and dealing with the things in our environments and so on and so forth. So our body produces hormones at different stages throughout our years. So as little girls, we experience, different peaks in our hormone levels. When we go through puberty, that changes, that alters. When we become adults, that changes as well. When we go through menopause, that changes. When a woman becomes pregnant, that also changes. So a woman's body goes through different hormonal changes throughout her lifetime. Now, one of the female hormones that I want to highlight the importance of the function of is estrogen. Estrogen is an important hormone that plays several functions. Now, I want you to remember that there are things that disrupt our hormones that we are in total control of. So I want you to keep that in mind. There are things that disrupt our hormones that we are in total control of. So estrogen, for example, is an important hormone. How does estrogen, help us in our female bodies? The menstrual changes that we go through. Estrogen helps to regulate the menstrual cycle. So when estrogen levels drop, it can lead to irregular or missed periods, lighter or heavier flow, or changes in the duration of the menstrual cycle. So it can make it longer, it can make it shorter. Menopausal symptoms. As women approach menopause, estrogen levels, they naturally decline, and this can result in symptoms such as hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, mood changes, sleep disturbances, decreased libido. And, as we continue on throughout this presentation, we will learn how to balance that out so we don't experience some of the things that are listed here. How else is estrogen important? Estrogen is important for bone health. Yes. Estrogen is important for maintaining bone density. When estrogen levels decrease, particularly during menopause, women become more susceptible to bone loss and increased osteoporosis. So estrogen is important for maintaining bone health. Estrogen is responsible for vaginal changes. Reduced estrogen levels can lead to changes in the vaginal tissues, resulting in dryness, itchiness, discomfort during intercourse, and an increased risk of urinary tract infections. Estrogen also helps with our mood and cognition. Estrogen has an influence on the neurotransmitters in our brains that can affect our mood and cognitive function. And that's why women, we have high periods throughout, high moments throughout the month. And then we have moments where we just feel like, doing nothing, or we feel so down and everything affects us so negatively. It's because those levels, they rise and fall throughout our cycles. And again, I will be sharing with you things that can help to balance that out so these things are not super intensified. Estrogen helps with our cardiovascular helps. It helps maintain healthy blood vessels and has a protective effect on our cardiovascular system. So when estrogen levels decrease, women become more susceptible to heart disease and increased risk of conditions like high blood pressure and unfavorable levels in the cholesterol. Imagine that. I'm sure you didn't think of estrogen to help with your cholesterol levels. Other symptoms include, this decreased estrogen levels can contribute to fatigue, it can contribute to weight gain, joint pain, headaches, and changes in the skin elasticity. And that's why, as women, when you become older, your skin changes. And then, we start thinking of Botox and all of those things because our estrogen levels are decreasing. And as a result, it changes our skin elasticity. So, again, estrogen, that's just one hormone that our body needs and uses throughout a woman's life from a baby up until, the grave. Estrogen is just one hormone. There are several other hormones that play such an important function within our bodies, but I'm highlighting estrogen just to, help to show us that we need to take care of our hormones. And the way that we take care of our hormones are by the choices that we make on a daily basis. So let's move forward. Let's jump into the fun stuff. Let's talk about natural remedies for common women's issues. Let's talk about natural remedies for common women's issues. The first thing that we will look at is PMS, premenstrual syndrome, and cramps. And again, if this doesn't apply to you, I'm sure it could help somebody that you know. So please take notes on everything because you never know when this information will come in handy. So when it comes to, dealing with pain, there are several things that, can help and that is recommended. Now, one thing that I always tell women is that they need to be aware of their bodies and what's normal for them to feel. So, as your homework, I want you to pay attention to your bodies, what you're feeling, on throughout the day, some of the symptoms or the things that you experience, whether it's like sleep disturbances or headaches or, just like moments where you're super energized or not so energized. I want you to take notes of all of those things and track those things because that could help to give you an idea of how your body is functioning. And it could also help to, gauge what's regular for you and what's not. So, but when it comes to dealing with pain, for women with regular, cycles, I always tell them that 3 days before your cycle begins, you can start doing contrast showers. I'm pretty sure you all have spoken about contrast showers here, but just to remind you what it is, it's jumping in a shower where the water is hot as you can handle for 3 to 5 minutes. So you turn up the water to as hot as you can handle for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you stay under that water, allow that blood, that water to pour on you, get your blood to circulate, and then you turn that hot water down and turn on the cold water for 30 seconds. And that will help to equalize your circulation. And you could do that for 2 to 3 times. If you're doing it 3 days leading up to your cycle, you could just do it as your shower leading up to that point. What that will do is it will help your circulation. It will help your blood to flow so that you don't experience cramping. So a lot of the times we experience, cramps within our cycle because our body produces blood clots. And what happens is that our uterus, it contracts to try to push those blood clots, through the vaginal opening. So you're experiencing something on a lesser degree, like labor. So basically what the a contrast shower will do is that it will help your blood to circulate so that, you're not experiencing as many clots, so that you don't experience as many cramps, because your blood is flowing as it should, and the body doesn't need to do extra work with your uterus to help to expel those clots. So that's one thing that can be done. In addition to that, I always encourage persons to drink plenty of water. And that's something that you've been learning. So this applies, you will hear me repeating some of the same things over and over again, because at the foundation of helping with a lot of those diseases are some of the similar things. So drinking enough water, again, that helps with your blood flow so that your blood, flows in the way that it should, so that you don't experience that extra uterine cramping. Also, exercise. Doing abdominal exercises and like just walking. It doesn't have to be anything super crazy or super fancy. Just go for like a walk, a brisk walk on an afternoon, in the morning, whenever you have the time. That also helps to get your blood circulating and flowing so that that decreases significantly. And I do want to say that a lot of persons, again, they experience cramping, and just by doing those simple things, that goes away without, even them having to do all of the extra things. So with that being said, some of the other things that help with dealing with pain include different teas. And those teas include catnip tea, chamomile tea, basil, marjoram, thyme, some of the things that I'm sure you have in your kitchen cabinet right now as seasonings, black cohosh, chaparral, cramp bark, squaw vines, valerian, and wild yam. These are some of the teas that could help deal specifically with pain. Now, as it relates to those teas can be done separately. So you can choose from the long list of herbal teas that we have here. There are different options that you can choose from. I love giving people variety because, not everybody has access to certain things. I know that you're all coming from different parts of the US, of the world. So you may have different things available to you. So you do have options. So these are some of the things that can help. Now, when it comes to making teas, the rule of thumb is for every tablespoon of herbs that you use 3 cups of water. So if you're using 3 tablespoons of chamomile tea, you boil that with 3 cups of water, allow it to steep, and then you drain that out and you drink it. So that's what you do with all of your teas. You can use tea bags as well. I would say, though, that if you're using tea bags, I do believe that the portion within the bag itself is about a teaspoon. I may be wrong. So you would have to use at least 3 of those to get like a stronger effect. I usually go crazy with my tea bags, but if you could get the dried herbs, that's fine. You use every tablespoon to 3 cups of water. If you have the tea bags, you could use more than 1 to get a stronger effect. So when dealing with pain, these are some of the herbs that can be used. Now, there's another herb that I love very much, and this herb I will be talking about throughout this presentation because I believe that every woman should have this herb in her kitchen cabinet because it helps with literally every stage of a woman's life. Menstrual health, red raspberry leaf tea. It is rich in nutrients, like iron, calcium, magnesium, which help to alleviate symptoms of menstruation, such as, cramping, bloating. It also is believed to have astringent properties that may help with the uterine muscles, potentially reducing heavy menstrual bleeding. So red raspberry leaf tea for heavy periods, red raspberry leaf tea to help with bloating, red raspberry leaf tea to help with cramps. During pregnancy, red raspberry leaf tea is recommended across the United States by midwives because red raspberry leaf tea helps to support uterine health and prepare the body for labor. So it is believed to help, with muscle tone of the uterus, potentially leading to more effective contractions during labor. Some studies may also suggest that it shortens labor, but more research is needed on that, of course. But red raspberry leaf tea for pregnancy, a plus. It helps with menopause. Red raspberry leaf tea, they contain antioxidants and phytoestrogens that help support hormonal health. So it helps support hormonal balance. So it helps to alleviate symptoms such as hot flashes, mood swings, vaginal dryness. Additionally, its high nutrition content can support overall health during this transitional phase for you. So red raspberry leaf tea, it is, it is very valued for its nutritional profile and its therapeutic properties on the reproductive system. So I would recommend that red raspberry leaf tea is something that we all have access to, even if we just buy it and purchase it for whenever we need it. But red raspberry leaf tea, you know how they talk about kale is king of the vegetable world. I would say that red raspberry leaf tea is like queen in that realm. So red raspberry leaf tea. Somebody asked if we drink it before or during the cycle. So you can leading up to your cycle. You can also drink it during your cycle. So it works, both ways. It works both ways. So that is a plus. Okay, so let's move forward. And this meeting is usually shared. The video or access to it is usually shared. I know that Christine just popped up. So if you join the WhatsApp group, which there will be more information on at the end, you will have access to this video. And then you should have access to all of the other, previous videos. Blackstrap molasses, another one of my favorites because of its high nutrition content. It's high in iron, magnesium, calcium, zinc, and iron. Blackstrap molasses is one of the supplements that go a long way again for women. So during our cycles, we lose blood. Our iron, depletes. Calcium depletes. Magnesium also depletes. So Blackstrap molasses is high in all of those things. So it helps to restore that. And it also helps to offset some of the symptoms that we may experience. Now, Blackstrap molasses is not only good with PMS and cramps, but it's also, again, another one of those supplements that are great throughout a woman's life. So Blackstrap molasses for low iron and everything that comes with low iron, like, your anemias, heavy bleeding like fibroids, Blackstrap molasses definitely helps to restore and replenish. And it also helps with actually going through and working on those fibroids in a way that helps to also decrease or starve it so that it doesn't become bigger. And we will be talking more about those fibroids. But Blackstrap molasses, again, is one of the supplements that come highly recommended. And you can drink 1 tablespoon daily to help. Again, it can be done leading up to your cycle, like 2 weeks before. And you can also do it during your cycle. Now, with Blackstrap molasses, if you want a more effective effect, I would recommend that you do it with, like lime or lemon juice to help with that vitamin C so that your body absorbs it readily. So, most persons enjoy a cup of lemon water with that tablespoon of Blackstrap molasses warm and drink it as a tea. For people who may not be able to drink it directly because it is not the best tasting, drinking it in soy milk or almond milk or cashew milk, whatever plant-based milk that you have access to, you could add that molasses to it, and it comes off as a very tasty drink. I use Blackstrap molasses to help me. My Blackstrap molasses, I would say, is my version of coffee. Um, it helps me get through long bursts, overnight bursts. You know, I make a quick cup of Blackstrap molasses with soy milk, and that helps to keep me energized for a few hours. You know, gives me that extra pep in my step. So Blackstrap molasses as a supplement comes in super handy. Now let's talk about more hormonal imbalances. And the reason that I want to talk specifically about hormonal imbalances is because as we continue with the rest of the diseases that we will cover this afternoon, at the base of a lot of them are hormonal imbalances. So if we could figure out how to address those imbalances, then we will be helping, you know, all of these things simultaneously. So hormonal imbalance, I'm throwing that word around a lot. So some of you may be wondering, well, what exactly is that? Hormonal imbalances refers to an abnormality in the levels of functioning of our hormones in the body. So our hormones, they're very important, as we learned earlier. They help with physiological processes, our metabolism, growth, development, reproduction, mood, stress response. So our hormones, you know, they help with all of those functions in our bodies on a daily basis. Literally, every second, our hormones are working in order to keep us balanced. Now, when the production of hormones happens, or when it's disrupted, it can lead to what we would call a hormonal imbalance. And this imbalance can manifest in various ways, depending on which hormones are affected and to what extent. So, for example, in the case of fibroids, there may be an overproduction of the estrogen hormone. In the case of polycystic ovaries, there may be an underproduction of that hormone and more production of a testosterone hormone. So hormonal balance is important for us in order to address a lot of the issues like thyroid issues. Hormones need to be balanced in order to be able to help with overproduction as well as underproduction. So again, hormonal imbalance. Now, common symptoms of hormonal imbalance in women may include irregular menstrual cycles or periods. So our periods are supposed to be regular. They're supposed to follow a specific pattern, and if that's irregular, then there's most likely a hormonal issue there. Changes in our mood, including depression, anxiety, irritability. I'm sure there are different points throughout the month where you notice, you know, like you're super irritable or more anxious or more prone to, you know, being in a down mood. And again, that's because our hormones are disrupted. And again, that could become to the extreme where it's disrupted long term as opposed to short term, creating a long term issue for us. Weight gain or difficulty losing weight, fatigue or low energy levels, changes in libido or sexual functions, skin problems such as acne or excessive hair growth, hot flashes or night sweats, insomnia or sleep disturbances, digestive issues such as bloating or constipation, hair loss or thinning. All of these are common symptoms of hormonal imbalance in women. And these are some of the things that we need to pay attention to. Now, hormonal imbalance can be as a result of many different things, various factors, including stress or underlying medical conditions like thyroids or PCOS, medications, including medications like birth control, our lifestyle, like our diet and exercise, the things that we're putting into our bodies, maybe adding extra hormones to our bodies that our bodies now need to process and try to figure out, well, what is that? And then it tries to, produce more or less to get rid of certain things. Environmental toxins and just natural life transitions like puberty, pregnancy, menopause. So all of these things can cause hormonal imbalance within our systems. Now, how can this be addressed? At the base, at the very base of addressing hormonal imbalance and balancing out our hormones is a detox for a reset. A lot of the times, our bodies, before we start to make any kind of changes toward making healthier choices, we need to clean our system out, to just detox. I know lots of persons who I've worked with for different reasons. Just doing a detox alone was like one of the main things that they needed to do in order to just get their bodies back on track to where it's supposed to be. And sometimes it's as simple as that. So a detox for a reset is necessary, and we'll talk more about that. Sleep for regulation. Sleep, yes, sleep. For those of you in New York City, the city that never sleeps, I need you to change that, okay? And be part of the group that actually sleeps. So sleep for regulation, sleep is an important part of restoration for us, for our hormones. We need to sleep every single night in order for those things to be restored and for our bodies to produce, certain hormones and to make use of it in a way that becomes productive for us. Keeping stress levels down. Finding ways to cope with our stress is very important when it comes to hormonal imbalance, because we learned earlier that stress can disrupt those things. And that's why for some of us, when we're stressed, we break out into hives, we have acne, we start to lose our hair. Hello, somebody. I know that I'm talking to somebody here today. So stress, just being able to manage stress in a way that is productive for us helps. And one of my favorite ways for dealing with stress is relying or taking advantage of casting my cares on God, because He promises that He cares for us. So leaving my problems and situations in His hand and leaving it there. And I mean, just knowing and going about my day, knowing that He will take care of it as I do everything that I can to play my part. And then, of course, finding ways of letting out that stress. So whether that's going to the gym or taking a walk outside or going swimming or listening to music, just singing, those are some of the things that help me cope with stress. So you need to find what helps you deal with your stress. Is that, writing in a journal or, gardening or talking to a friend, whatever it is, just remember that you need to keep those stress levels down to help your hormones be balanced, because you can eat the right foods, but if you're not taking care of your bodies and your stress levels, then that, you don't really benefit fully. Another thing that helps with hormonal balance is eating for good health. And, studies have showed that in fruits, grains, nuts, and vegetables can be found all of the food elements that we need. And those foods eaten in a wholesome way could help to benefit our bodies. They help to provide the nutrients that we need in a way that, works well to deal with the things that we go through as women. So with that being said, as it relates to detox, there are several things that you can do for detox. You could go on a water detox or raw fruit and vegetable detox, where you just eat only raw fruits and only raw vegetables for a few days, 3 to 7 days. You could do a detox where you're juicing. And I know that the uncut series has a whole segment on that. So I'm going to give you homework for those of you who were not there for that segment to go back and look at it so you could get more detail on a detox for a reset. Here I have a recipe that I could share with you for those of you who want to do juicing as a detox. So an anti-estrogen recipe. Now, what I mean by anti-estrogen recipe is foods that help to block the, for lack of a better way of saying it, or just to make it as simple so that everybody could understand, is to block the unnecessary estrogen in our bodies, or the estrogen that is not created by our bodies. So carrot, cabbage, kale, broccoli, beets, and chlorophyll. That is a juice recipe that can be used. This is special information, y'all. Tested and proven. So take a picture of this, and this is something that you can add if you want to do a raw cleanse or juice cleanse. That's one of the recipes that you can do. If you know that your body's producing excess estrogen, this juice recipe is for you. So carrots, cabbage, kale, broccoli, beets, chlorophyll. I know this says broccoli powder, but you could actually use the actual broccoli there, and that is proven to help. So I'll share with you another recipe, and this one is slightly different. Carrot, celery, beets, kale, and alfalfa. This recipe is anti-inflammatory. So a lot of the times we have inflammation that comes as a result of certain things. So this recipe will help to not only, benefit us, but will help with inflammation. So carrots, celery, beets, kale, alfalfa. Juice all of these things together, put it all together, and you have a 16-ounce serving of that juice. Now, those juices, this one and the one after, you can drink twice daily. If you're doing a juice cleanse, you can, interchange those juices. I would recommend that if you want to do a juice during your period, this one that I have up on the screen, the carrot, celery, beets, kale, and alfalfa, you can definitely do that and it will help. Now, one of the things that I want you to take note of is that for those of you who opt in to do a detox for reset, don't be surprised if your cycle changes. If you start menstruating a week early, or later, whatever the case is, or earlier in most cases, and that's because your body. I would say that is the testimony that your body has undergone a reset. So don't be surprised if that happens. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just your body's way of starting over. So yes, this recipe, carrots, celery, beets, kale, alfalfa, you take note of it. That could be done during your cycle. And again, these recipes could help with like majority of the diseases that are common for women. So your fibroids, your thyroid issues, your PMS, your menopause, all of these things can help. Now, Easy series does have a cleanse series, a full detox series that I highly recommend. And I'm not saying this because I'm being biased. We've seen it work on hundreds of people. And they do very well with giving you all of the instructions that you need for a detox. This series takes you through a 30-day detox. You're not necessarily fasting for 30 days, but it walks you through an entire cleanse process, and that helps to really reset your body. So if you go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen, if you take a screenshot, whatever you need to do, you can go to the website at easyseries.com and purchase this cleanse series. And that definitely is my number one recommendation for a detox. So let's move forward. Let's talk about fibroids. So fibroids are basically an overgrowth of non-cancerous masses within our abdomen areas. Um, and again, those things can be brought upon as a result of different things. So those little masses within the stomach area, the uterus area, they feed on different things. They love sugar, refined sugar. They feed off of that. They feed off of high fats. They feed off of, anything related to that. So when I say refined sugar, not just like the actual literal sugar crystals, but anything that is not whole. So for example, white rice as opposed to brown rice, the white rice would be the refined version of the brown rice. So the body breaks that down, and those masses, they feed off of that. They also love a stressed environment. Okay. They love a stressed environment. They love an environment where they're not getting the nutrition that they need. Because what that nutrition does is it actually, nutrition is supposed to nourish, but nutrition for the case of fibroids starves the fibroids. So they love an environment where it's unhealthy, and they will continue to grow and to feed off of that unhealthy, environment. So with that being said, for anybody who is going or, like having issues with fibroids, at the base of it, like I said, I will continue to remind us, is a healthier choice lifestyle. So what does that look like? Again, detox for reset, eating the right foods, making sure that you sleep on time, making sure that you're drinking water, that you're exercising, making sure that you're staying away from the high refined foods, from the fatty foods, from the dairy. They also feed off of that, from the dairy and all of its products, whatever that looks like, from the high, fat foods. All of these things, they help to grow that mass. So once you begin to starve them, they can no longer grow. And as you create a healthy environment, you can do things that can actually make them decrease. So we have worked with persons who have had issues with fibroids, who needed surgery to have them removed, but they decided to try an alternative route, the natural route, doing the things that was suggested, like changing their lifestyle in, like simple ways, making that little sacrifice, and doing the extra helps that I will share with you shortly. And as being consistent with doing that, being faithful to doing that, their fibroids began to shrink to the point where they no longer needed surgery. So I'm saying all of this to say that the things that I'm sharing with you here, they may sound super simple, but there is healing in simplicity. And the reason that these things are so simple is because God knew that He needed to give us something that is so easy for us to do that we wouldn't have to cross the ends of the earth to get access to them or to do it, but that it could be available to anybody, regardless of where you are in the world, so that you could, help your bodies to expel impurities and reestablish right conditions in the system. So let's talk more about those natural remedies. A golden seal douche. So a golden seal douche basically consists of 2 tablespoons golden seal with 2 cups of water. You boil that together, allowing it to steep for 20 minutes. So allow that to steep, and then what you will do is that you will drain that and use that water in a douche bottle, a Perry bottle, whatever it is that you use for douching. Well, I don't want to say whatever it is that you use for douching, because that's not something that you do on a regular basis, correct? Yes. You only do it in case of sickness. So in a case like this, it helps benefit you. So golden seal, 2 teaspoons of golden seal, in 2 cups of water and you allow that to steep. If you're using the actual herb, you allow that to steep and then you drain it out. If you're using the tincture, you allow that to steep and then you just use it as it is. But golden seal in whatever form that you could get it does go a long way. And you douche with that at least 3 times a week. So that helps, to um, helps to shrink the fibroids. Another thing that helps is a castor oil pack. Now, castor oil packs are um, one of my favorites because um, it goes a long way. So what that castor oil does is that castor oil, it has properties in them. God created it in such a unique way that once applied to the skin, it will go into the skin and dissolve any foreign substances within that specific area. So castor oils used directly over the abdomen area, it helps to go in and to shrink those fibroids. And that's something that could be done for that tumor mass. Now, with that being said, just, free information that could be applied to wherever else in the body where there is an overgrowth that is not supposed to be there. So again, warm castor oil packs, they help to not just address fibroids, but they help to alleviate muscle and bone pain. So it can be used for pain, for spasms, for cramping, including those in the liver area or in any parts of the body that is painful. So applied over any area, it also helps to detox that area. They increase circulation, relaxes muscles, and disperse toxicity and act fast and reliably. So I love castor oil packs because, again, it is something that we used over and over, especially at the lifestyle center, and we've seen it work for people. So how do you do that? I do have a video here. I'm afraid that I may not be able to share it with you because I do have a video on how exactly to do that. If you want to see that video, please drop a thumbs up in the chat, or we could skip over it and you could just take a picture of these instructions. But you cut a piece of cotton cloth, whatever size it is, and then you apply castor oil to that area. And basically you will place it over the affected area. You know what? I'm going to show you some of the video. I'll try to skip over.
While it boils, so that I can show you how the oil that is made that does not. So for this recipe, you will need castor oil. And when we say castor oil, we mean the cold pressed pure castor oil. So that's the white castor oil. The white castor oil, the castor oil that is made that does not go through the process of heating, so that once it's done, it's clear. So you would need pure castor oil. And then you would need a piece of cotton material, whether that is, you show you my castor oil here, I keep castor oil. And then you would also need cheesecloth. Cheesecloth. If you don't have cheesecloth, you can use regular cotton. So you just get like a t-shirt, an old t-shirt that is 100% cotton. You get 100% cotton and you use that. Yes, 100% cotton, you use that. If you have an old towel that you can definitely use that as well. So yes. So get a piece of cloth, and then you want to measure your piece of material that you're using, whether it's a cheesecloth, whether it's a cheesecloth or an old t-shirt, whatever it is that you have available. I'm a strong believer of using what's available to you to help with your restoration. So I'm also very good at improvising. I love improvising because, you know, it just helps you to make perfect use of your resource. So yes, so you get your cheesecloth, and then what you want to do is get your castor oil, and you get your castor oil and you pour this castor oil all over your cheesecloth or your cotton, whatever it is that you. So you pour all of it over it. I'm just going to pour it like this. You see how much that gives me. Going to fold it and this. So there's no exact measurement because you know the size of your cloth may vary. So there's no exact measurement. So you do want to measure the cloth that you're using to the size of your abdomen area. The size of your abdomen area, because you will be using over your size, the size of your area. And then you just want to get the castor oil so that your cheesecloth is thoroughly soaked in the castor. So you want to make sure that your cheesecloth is thoroughly soaked in your castor oil. And you know, I will ask one of our models or assistants to get ready to have this recipe applied. The one that you know doesn't want to have that t-shirt stain. So you make sure that it's heavily soaked in the castor oil. Now, what you want to do is take that and put it on, you know, a baking tray, put it in the oven, just to heat up, just enough to make it warm. If you make it too hot, it will definitely burn. So you just want to warm it up because heating any herb or any remedy or, you know, any of those things will really help to activate the properties in there and will help that castor oil to really drive into the food. So you do want to heat it up. If you have an oven, if you don't have an oven or you have a stovetop, make use of whatever you have, but the principle is heating that up, So I'm going to ask my assistant here or my whatever we want to come as I show you how to apply it. Can you use this with an infrared light bulb? Yes, of course you can. If you don't have an infrared light bulb, we will be talking about what to do next when you apply. So I'm going to take this and apply this to her abdomen area, lower abdomen area. My gloves are oily. And then what you will do is get saran wrap or clear wrap. Wrap it around yourself. Making sure that it's not too tight because we definitely don't want to squeeze your organ in. So you're making sure that it's not too tight. Now, you use this directly on the skin. She's only using a t-shirt because we don't want you to see her face. Yes. So we're trying to, you know, preserve our moments. So yeah, so you use this directly on the skin. Don't put it over your t-shirt because if you put it over your t-shirt, it's not going to get to your skin. So you use it directly over the skin. This remedy is for fibroids. This remedy is for fibroids. You put the clear wrap over it, and the reason that you're using saran wrap over the castor oil pack is to trap in the heat. Trapping in the heat is very important, very crucial. So the clear wrap definitely helps to trap in the heat. And then if you don't have clear wrap, you can use, you know, that, but we really prefer clear wrap. So you do this in the evening You can do it throughout the day, but you typically do it in the evening and you leave it on overnight. If you're doing it during the day, you leave it on for 6 to 8 hours. So you leave this on overnight. Now, the next thing that you want to do, in addition to that, to help to bring extra heat, you can use a hot water bottle. So you can use a hot water bottle. You can fill this hot water bottle up with water, with hot water, fill it up with hot water, and then when you go to bed, you may just place that over. You may have to put a towel layer over the bottle. You may have to put a towel layer over the bottle, and you just sleep with this. When the heat is applied, it's very comfortable, relaxing. It makes you good. So that may give you a good rest. So you put that over the stomach area and you leave that overnight, and that will definitely go in the morning or when you take it off. When you take it off, you can reuse the same piece of cloth or cheesecloth that you use for 21 days. We recommend changing it every 21 days. So you can reuse it every 21 days. Every evening when you use it, you want to make sure that you top it up with castor oil. So you don't want to use this and then the next day you just put it up. So every time you reuse it, we top it up with more castor oil. Every time you use it, we top it up with more castor oil. And you also heat it up with the in the oven, wherever you have heat available. So you do that to make sure that it's nice and ready. So thank you so much. Thank you for
Okay, so the reason that we suggest saran wrap, it's because it's BPA free. So you do want to use that instead of, a plastic bag or whatever the case is. So that's the reason that saran wrap is suggested. So castor oil pack definitely goes a long way. How often should you do this? You should do it consistently until you know that your fibroids have dissolved. Now, the way that you can keep track of that is if you go, to your provider and get, a track of where it is and how big it is, and then do it consistently over a 3-month period. Go back, see the progress. If you need to adjust, you adjust. But I do recommend that doing it 6 days out of the week, resting on one. You can do it during your period. That's perfectly fine. It will also help to relieve the pain in there. So that's another remedy that goes a long way for actual cramps. So yes, you can use that during your period. So 6 days and then rest and then continue, doing that again consistently. Now, I know persons, they try things for 1 or 2 days and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. I tried this and it never worked for me. Well, consistency is important. Today, tomorrow, the day after, the day following. That is definitely important, especially when it comes to the simple things that God has given to us in nature. And of course, you don't just want to be doing that. You want to, again, to be making the choices internally that helps with, that helps to bring about the changes to stop the growth while you're doing things to help to shrink it. So it will be very productive if you're making the internal changes as well as doing the remedial things. If you're not making the internal changes, the progress will be stunted. It will be counterproductive. So definitely you do want to make sure that you're doing both things. May God help us. So let's talk about PCOS. PCOS, it basically stands for polycystic ovary syndrome, and it's a hormonal disorder, which is common among women of reproductive age. It leads to irregular menstrual cycles. So women with PCOS often have irregular menstrual cycles. They may have fewer than 8 menstrual cycles per year. And we do need to, shed blood at least every 21 to 28 days. If the women with PCOS, there may be excess androgens present, which is basically another hormone. So these levels may be higher, and these are typically referred to as male hormones. So because of that, it could lead to things like acne, excessive hair growth, and male pattern baldness.
The amount of antennas that got here in the oil, I don't know what is doing it.
Hi, can you mute yourself? I didn't see the name on the screen. Thank you so much. Another thing that, like they may be
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
sorry.
okay. That's
so
fine.
sorry.
Thank you so much. You're fine.
No, it's me. I just wanted you to repeat the last sentence. You talk about PCOS and what it does to woman hormone and hair growth. Because of the person coming in, I missed that. Could you please? I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. I can do that for you. So I'm basically saying that PCOS is commoner among women of reproductive age. It causes heavier menstrual bleeding and also fewer cycles. It also causes excess androgens, which is typically referred to as the male hormone. The levels with women with PCOS, they're typically higher. So that's the hormonal imbalance there. And because of that, it could lead to things like acne, excessive hair growth, male pattern baldness. Balding in the center of the head, shortening in the front as well. And it could also cause infertility in some women. So PCOS is something that many women, that it's more popular than, it's very popular. It's something that many women go through and experience at different levels. Now, what can be done for PCOS? There are several things that can be done when dealing with PCOS. And again, at the base of all of those diseases and what contributes to it, high fat diets, diets high in dairy consumption, diets high in sugar, like production. So just by, again, making the necessary changes to the lifestyle habits, that will go a long way for a person suffering with PCOS. So some of the things that can be done to assist is an immune support drink, which I will share with you, a low iron tonic, which I'll also share with you, hot castor oil pack, which you just learned, and hot fermentation. So the immune support drink is basically cabbage, broccoli, kale, and turnip greens. Now, the reason for immune support drink is because with PCOS, the body needs strengthen the immune system so that it could target those overgrowth over the, like the ovaries. So the body's own immune system will attack those extra cells. And what it does is that it kills them off to help to provide a healthier environment. So immune support is very important. And there are also other things that you could do for immune support. Again, like drinking enough water, getting the sunlight that you need, eating foods high in vitamin C, like mangoes and papayas and coconuts, and oranges, of course. So cabbage, broccoli, kale, turnip greens, all of these help with the immune system and helps to support the immune system. So these are some of the things that can be done. Hot fermentation, what is that? It's basically heat, extended heat applied to the pelvic and the back area with intermissions of cold for 30 seconds. So earlier in this presentation, we spoke about doing contrast showers. So a hot fermentation is basically like a localized version of that. So you get like a heating pad, a hot water bottle or a towel, whatever it is that you have available, an old t-shirt, whatever it is that you have available, make sure that it's hot enough, not too hot where it burns your skin, and apply that to the pelvic area or the lower back area and then once that heat starts to become warm, then you get a cold rag and just rub down that area for like 30 seconds. And then you repeat this for 3 times for 15 minutes of heat at a time. Hopefully your heat lasts for 15 minutes. If it doesn't, you just repeat it more often. So if it lasts for 5 minutes, then, just multiply that 3 by 6, so that you get at least 20 to 30 minutes of that treatment. So yes, cord fomentation to the pelvic area and the lower back area. Now that again can help for also relieving cramps. Let's talk about low iron because of the heavy bleeding. There's low iron. So let's talk about replenishing those stores. Here's an iron drink that works remarkably for low iron. It has grape juice in it, 100 ounces. And when I say grape juice, I do mean the actual 100% grape juice without all of the extra additives or flavors. So 100% grape juice, figs and not green bananas. We're talking about dried figs. It's a fruit that is commonly grown in the Middle East. It looks like a plum, but it's dried up, and inside of it looks like a guava. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm sorry. If you don't know what a guava is, I'm very sorry, but that's the only way I know how to describe it. But they do sell it in the supermarkets. It's, it comes dried. Raisins, apricots, and molasses. So 100 ounces of grape juice, 1/3 cup of figs, 1/3 cup of raisins, 1/3 cup of apricots, and 1 cup of molasses. Now, what you do is mix those things together and let it sit for 24 hours. After that, you shake it up, refrigerate, and you drink 4 ounces, which is half a cup of that 3 times daily. It's very concentrated, and every single ingredient in here specifically contains iron and vitamin C, like high amounts of iron and vitamin C that helps to replenish those levels within your bloodstream and also helps your body to absorb it. So iron drink for anybody with low iron, PCOS, this definitely goes a long way. Okay, and now I know that our time is shortly coming to a close, and I could sit here all day and talk about women's diseases. Maybe we need to have a part 2 because we still have a few that we haven't covered, but our time is coming to a close, and I do want to open up the floor for questions. So let's just talk about infertility, and then we will open up the floor for questions. So infertility. I know that we mentioned some things about that before. Can a diabetic use this iron drink? I would recommend not, just because of the high, fruity content in there. There are other methods for replenishing iron that a diabetic can use. So I would not recommend this for a diabetic. If you are diabetic and you need iron supplementation, I would recommend the liquid iron Floridex. It's a natural supplement that comes in a bottle. And you just take that based on the instructions on the bottle. But this I wouldn't necessarily recommend for a diabetic. Molasses is low glycemic, but again, it's not something that you want to do if you're diabetic and trying to recover from that regularly. So I will not recommend this for a diabetic. Infertility. What can be done? Cleanse. Cleanse, hormonal balance tea, and a wholesome plant-based diet. And it's as simple as that. I kid you not. So detoxing the system. I know of this lady who I did a consultation with. She was having issues trying to get pregnant. She did have issues with PCOS, and she came to me and she wanted to get pregnant. And I did a consultation with her. I put together an individualized program for her, put her on a plan to help with her PCOS and her infertility. And, like gave her one of the things that I recommended is a cleanse. I do see questions coming up in the chat. I just want to say that based on my screens, I cannot answer longer questions. I could just answer what I see pop up on my screen. So I will address those questions shortly. So put her on a program. Part of that program was a cleanse, a detox. She went through the Easy Series 30-day detox. And guess what? In a couple of months, she was pregnant and she was happy about that. And she was able to also be restored from her PCOS, by following the simple things that we covered and were recommended here. So don't underestimate the simplicity of this. So a cleanse, also hormonal balance tea. Now I will suggest some herbal teas that could be used for hormonal balance. Also a wholesome plant-based diet. A wholesome plant-based diet that contains all of the nutrients that we need to help to regulate our hormones, and also all of the phytoestrogens that we need in order to get rid of excess estrogens, and all of these things within our bodies, or create estrogen if need be. So the good thing about eating of a wholesome diet and doing the natural things is that whatever it is that your body needs or is lacking, it helps to supply. And I honestly am baffled at how that works, because if you need one thing, eating the same thing that you need could either help to increase or decrease that. And I don't know how that works. I just give glory to God because He's amazing and He created amazing things for our benefit. So I just say thank you, Jesus. So plants, hormonal balance tea, and wholesome plant-based diet. I do want to recommend, this is my favorite hormonal balance tea. It's curated specifically with the different herbs that are needed for hormonal balance in mind in specific amounts. So again, you can scan the QR code here and get access to that tea. That's again, when I put people on programs that need help with hormonal balancing, that's one of the things that are recommended. And women go through it, they go on it, and they notice the changes, they experience the changes, they feel better, their bodies respond, and they do better. So this is one of my first recommendations. There are also herbal helps like dandelion, wild yam, black cohosh, chasteberry, yellow dogwood. All of these help specifically with infertility, also hormonal balancing. So chasteberry, I know, comes highly recommended for persons with infertility issues. Drinking that as a tea would help to increase your fertility levels. Black cohosh also goes a long way for that. But these are hormonal balance herbs that help, and you can drink them separately. You can drink them separately, so you can choose from the list. So if you have access to dandelion, wild yam, black cohosh, whichever you have access to, you could drink that as a tea. And remember, the rule of thumb for that is for every 1 tablespoon of the herb you use 3 cups of water. And you allow that to steep. So I know our time is fast coming to an end. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I am going to open up the floor for questions. Any questions? Let me go to the chat because I know that we had some questions in the chat. Yes, so let me see here. I'll go ahead and answer the questions in the chat that I don't think I covered. Yes, you can use castor oil on your forehead. Somebody's asking which brand of castor oil is the best. So really, I'm not a brand person. I just believe that whatever you have access to, as long as it's pure and in a whole form, then you can go ahead and use that. My personal favorite brand is Easy Series, and they do happen to sell the castor oil. And I'm not saying this because it's my family's brand, but I really do swear by it. To answer your question, so somebody's asking, wouldn't it increase blood flow, especially for people with heavy periods? So castor oil is not going to increase blood flow for people with heavy periods. What it will do is that it will shrink those clots so that your flow comes through, and your period, you may notice your period, instead of lasting 5 days, because those clots have been shrunk, they last for a shorter span of time. I do see your hand, Eloisa, and we will get to that. I'm just trying to answer the questions in the chat as much as possible. Can you use DMSO instead of the heat application? For favorite child, I assume that you, because you mentioned DMSO, that you have some background knowledge with DMSO. So if you know how to use it in a way that is safe, then yes, you can use it in place of a heat application. I'm not going to talk about amounts or anything like that, because it's not something that I recommend openly. Can a diabetic, we answered that question. Does papaya leaf juice increase platelet count? I haven't particularly heard anything about that, but you piqued my interest, so it is something that I will look more into. And once I find the answer to that, I'll definitely post it in the Natural Remedies chat group. Do you blend the iron drink with the ingredients? No. You let everything sit. So when you let it sit in that liquid, in the molasses and the grape juice, what it does is that it pulls away those properties from the raisins and the apricots. So you don't want it to dissolve completely, because you're just pulling the properties within them to help with that iron count. You don't want the entire fruit blended in that, because then that would just make it a nice, tasty smoothie. But what you do by letting it sit for 24 hours is extract all of the properties within them to make it a potent iron drink. Is it possible to get in touch with me afterwards for more information, or is this just an evening session? Yes, it is possible to get in contact with me. I can be contacted directly at info@themangerbirth.com, and I'm going to drop that in the chat just so that everybody has access to it. And I'll also, drop that in the WhatsApp group so that you can get in touch with me afterward. This was an evening session. However, we might talk about doing a part 2, because there are lots of information that I wanted to share with you that I didn't get the chance to because of time. Somebody asked what to do for dry skin. I know we didn't talk about dry skin. I guess you see my oily skin. So for dry skin, I do recommend hydration at the base. So a lot of the things that you do internally impacts your external. So hydration, but I also recommend if you're in the US or a colder country, during the summertime, you use something light like coconut oil or olive oil or grapeseed oil. In the wintertime, you use a heavier oil like castor oil or even natural shea butter. And I also recommend, doing a banana oatmeal facial. So basically what you do is you get half a banana with a tablespoon of oatmeal, you mash that together, you add a little oil in there, apply to your skin for like 20 minutes, and then that helps. You could also use aloe vera, the actual leaf, and just apply that to your skin as a mask on an evening before you go to bed. And then in the morning, you can wash it off. Did you also use a hot water bag with the castor oil wrap? Yes. So the hot water bottle was placed over the castor oil wrap for at least 30 minutes or until you fall asleep, because it's going to cool off during the night just to increase that heat effect. So yes. What are some natural remedies for yeast and UTI? That's some of the things that we wanted to, that I wanted to cover with you all this afternoon. Maybe I could share it with you very quickly after I answer some of the questions. Can currants be used instead of raisins? Yes, it can be. How long to continue with the iron drink? So you can do it for as long as necessary. I would say though that it's something that works very quickly. So if you're working with your PCP and you have an idea of what your levels are, after 3 weeks, you don't want to go for a checkup to see, how you're doing, because it's something that actually works pretty quickly to replenish, and, blood through a 21-day cycle, it helps to restore the blood cells. So 21 days, again, doing it consistently, taking, like a day in between, and then that should help. You can also, I know that it says drink 3 times daily. You could also, depending on if you have an idea of how high they are, how low they are, you could do it less times a day. But yes, will the recording be placed in the chat? Absolutely. Eloisa. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, and please forgive me if I'm not. You can
No
go.
worries. It's Eloisa.
Oh, okay. Nice name.
But that's okay. I just wanted you to repeat what you said to take for the low iron for diabetics.
Okay. So I recommended Floridex. It's a supplement that comes in liquid form. You can, find it on Amazon or in your local health food store. It's called Floridex.
Okay, thank you so much. And
Yes.
thanks for the presentation as well.
You're
It's
welcome.
wonderful.
Okay, so to answer question about yeast infection and UTI very quickly, because I know that time is far spent. So for UTI specifically, some of the things that are recommended is increased fluid intake, unsweetened cranberry juice. I know these are some of the common things that are recommended. Uva ursery and yarrow tea as a, like a tea that also goes a long way. Garlic or garlic capsules. So you could chop up garlic and add it to your salads to eat it raw. I know people who chew on garlic like it's a ginger candy. Or you could do garlic capsules. And then of course you practice proper hygiene. So wiping from front to back, making sure that you stay hydrated, making sure that you're not putting anything in there that is not supposed to be there. Yeast infections very quickly. Some of the things that help. I do encourage you to wear all cotton underwear or none at all. No synthetic material near the genital area. So you want to only have a clean environment around that area. Nothing tight near the genitals. A garlic clove. What do I mean by that? So you get a garlic clove, which is 1 peg of garlic. You peel that, making sure that you don't put any holes in the actual clove. What you can do is tie a string to the garlic. I wish I could demonstrate this for you, but I just want you to visualize it. So 1 peg of garlic, get a string tied to the garlic and insert it into the vagina, leaving it there overnight. Once you use the bathroom, it's going to fall out. So that can be done. If you're afraid to do that, you could just use a vinegar spray. So what you do is get regular vinegar in water. Vinegar has an acid of 4.5, which is around the acidity that our vaginal areas need to be. And once you use the bathroom, once you're done using the bathroom, you just spray within that area. And that, do it after every time you use the bathroom, spray that area. You may use like a Perry bottle. You could use regular vinegar, distilled vinegar, or apple cider vinegar. And then once you're done with that, then you do it every time you use the bathroom. You can do it for up to 3 days. You should see like results within that time, God willing. If you don't, you just continue. But usually you just do it after every use, pat dry, and go on your way. But these are some of the helps that can be done for UTI and yeast infection. Okay. All right. What do you use on your face for such a smooth look if you have to? Okay, so I do want to say that we can have another class just to talk about beauty remedies and stuff that we could do for clear skin and for different things. How long do you use the garlic? So you use it in there overnight for, again, a 3-day period, and that should help to kill off whatever bacteria is in there. Yes. So again, you do want to make sure, yeah, you spray on the outside without inserting into the vagina. So you just spray around the vaginal opening. So you're not using it as a douche, you're just using it as like a cleanse around the area. And that's after you use the bathroom, wiping, patting dry, and like going on your way. So in regard to clear skin, again, staying hydrated, keeping your stress levels at bay, eating of a whole foods, plant-based diet. I do want to say that when I changed my lifestyle, I did have a lot of acne and like severely black spots on my skin, discoloration and all of that. And then once I changed my lifestyle, a lot of that just went away just by making the internal changes. But there are things that can be done, like, facials, hydrations using simple things that are like aloe vera, washing your face with regular like Castile soap or all of these things. But again, we could do that we could have a whole other conversation in regard to natural remedies for that. So somebody said green juice for sleeping. I'm not sure. Are you asking for green juice recipes for sleeping, or you're saying that green juice helps with sleeping? If you could clarify that, but with all of that being said, thank you all. While you're answering, hopefully you respond before we end. But thank you all for coming on this evening and for participating. I do hope that you learned a lot here this evening. This recording will be available for you after. I do apologize for going over the time frame that you usually go over. So green juice to help to make you sleep. Okay, so for sleep aids, just to answer this very briefly, I don't necessarily recommend a juice, but there are other things that can be done. You could do a warm bath with Epsom salt. That helps to relax your muscles. You could add magnesium electrolytes as a supplement. That helps as well. You could drink chamomile tea. That also helps to relax your body. So all of these things are things that help to relax your nerves and your system so that you could sleep better. Hopefully we can talk more about that in a subsequent presentation. But again, thank you all for your participation here today. I do hope that we see you all next week for Uncut, and you will hear more details about that in the WhatsApp group. I'm not sure if Ezra or Renoir is on so that they could give any closing details that they need to, but if not, again, thank you all for being on. It was my pleasure to be with you all today, and I look forward to coming back to doing a part 2 with you and to going through some beauty remedies with you on how to look better externally as we take care of our insides. So with that being said, if you could all bow with me for a word of prayer just to close off our session this afternoon. Father in heaven, we thank you so much for being with us, for giving us the insight that we need, for every person who is here in attendance, and just for everything that you've given to us in nature. We pray that even as we take those things and we apply it to our lives, I pray that you give us the grace that we need. I pray that you'd help these things so that they could work. And I pray that you'd give us the patience that we need and the consistency that we need to continue pressing forward, knowing that you have given us answers within nature. So again, we just thank you for everything that you've done and everything that you continue to do. I pray that you bless every person within the hearing of my voice here on this line. And I pray that you would help them so that they could be in better health and that you would give them the desire to do the things that need to be done. Strengthen them where they need strength, Father, and encourage them where they're already strong. So again, we just thank you and we pray that you go before us and continue to help us by your grace. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Thank you again for coming on.